Actually, what is global warming? Now, in global warming, we need to know what is greenhouse gases. So, uh, I think most of you know about greenhouse gases. Those who don't know, we need to understand greenhouse gases first. Greenhouse gases are those gases which are generally being emitted once we burn a fossil fuel or burn any plant or animal, right? Or anything which is having life or which came from life or which took shape from life. When we burn them, we get carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide. All these gases they generally come out. They are these gases are the reason by which we or which aids to the increase in the temperature of Earth, which leads to global warming. So carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide are the major sources of which aids in global warming. When the global warming happens, at that particular time, the temperature of Earth rises. When the temperature of Earth rises, every plant and every animal gets affected. Now, here in this question, we are talking about food production. So, obviously, as I told, the rising temperature affects the uh, plants. When how it affects the plants? Every plant gives its fruit at a particular season. I hope all of you know about this. Why it gives fruit in a particular season? Because it gets a particular temperature, right? During during winters we have a particular temperature. During summer we have a particular temperature. So every crop cannot be grown at every season. You get mangoes only once you cross uh, you cross May you'll be getting mangoes. Now also you are having mangoes. They are all hybrid varieties or maybe carbide one. So we do have mangoes now, but mangoes generally come after May. When we have rainfall, proper rainfall, we have abundance of mangoes. But we don't have mangoes during winters. So every tree, when it bears fruit, it gives fruit only in a particular temperature, particular season. So when the temperature increases, the total biological process that takes place in a plant disturbs. When it gets disturbed, obviously it leads to poor production of fruits. So that's how the heat affects the food production. So if you have any question in question number one, you can switch on your mic and you can speak. Or any teacher who wish to add something onto this. The question was how the heat or global warming affects the food production.
Sir, I want to add one thing in this.
Yes.
Actually, what happens, we all know that plants are not only making the carbohydrates, but they are making proteins also. And if we know protein, for example, egg is there. Whenever you make an omelette, then we see the coagulation of protein at high temperature. So similarly, what happens to the plants, whatever proteins will be there, they will be coagulated. And because of that, they will not be able to do their normal function. And they are doing the function of enzymes actually. So if whole biological process of the plant will get disturbed because of this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So even the protein gets denatured when the temperature increases. It gets denatured, and finally, what you'll be getting is not the actual nutrient that you are actually expecting, but it is something else which will damage the life processes and will get harmed with that. Fine. Any other person who has question for question number, or if you have anything to ask about question number one, should we proceed to question number two then? Anyone who is having question can switch on their mic and then ask. Right. Let's proceed on to the next one. what is deterioration of land and sea. Now, if I'm talking about deterioration of land, it is all because of the human activity. Whatever we do, we use so many things for better crop production. We use synthetic fertilizer, we use pesticides, we burn the crops, right, in an improper way. We burn the plastics or other things over a particular soil or particular area, which obviously is not adding any nutrient to the plant, to the soil, sorry. And or actually it is increasing the salinity of the soil. The salt content of the soil increases. Even when we plant any crop, right? If we, when we sow any particular seeds, or when we get plants, or when we get the crop, or when we yield the crop, uh, after that the soil becomes saline. So we need to reduce that salinity to get the next production. So the soil is to be tilled, and there are other processes that is to be followed so that the salinity of the soil can get decreased. And other activities, as I have already told you, using synthetic fertilizer is deteriorating the composition of the soil which we are using for production of crops. So there lies the problem. There are other things that we generally do. We use pesticides. This pesticide is also harmful. Even when we are irrigating a particular field, what happens? The water mixes with this pesticide. It percolates, and it reaches to the groundwater level. And then the groundwater is having the pesticides. Whatever soft drink that we are using these days, I feel that you should not be using that. But what can we do? Sometimes we do use it, or we drink it. Whatever soft drinks that we are using is having at least 13 to 15% of pesticide into it. So we are actually drinking poison. We are actually drinking poison. So our life is not same as that of the life of our ancestors. They are much healthier than us. We are having all synthetic foods, and all the water that we are drinking, even the soft drink that we are drinking, are having pesticides. So this is how we are degrading the land. Now, as far as sea is concerned, there is something that you need to understand. In case of sea, what we are doing is this: the water is flowing from the land towards sea. It's always like this. You may be taking Ganges to Yamuna to Narmada to Godavari, Kaveri, anything. It moves from land towards sea. So it brings all the affluents or whatever pollution that we're doing, they are taking all those things with them to the sea. So what happens? The life or the biodiversity in sea, that is plants, animals, everyone gets affected because of this poisonous water, which gets mixed with the uh, seawater. So the plants which are there in the seawater, they are not very happy with this, and they are getting extinct. And what actually happens is, like us, we breathe in oxygen, we give out carbon dioxide. Even plants do the same thing. They breathe in oxygen and they give out carbon dioxide. It's only during the time of photosynthesis they take in carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. This only happens only during photosynthesis. Otherwise, it's the same. We are all living organisms. We all take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Now, what happens? There's something. There's a word called BOD, that is biological oxygen demand, that increases because plants are not doing any kind of photosynthesis because of lack of uh, flora. flora, that is plants or plant kingdom in sea. So there's less number of plants which releases less number of oxygen, and the less number of oxygen leads to less number of organisms into the sea. So that's how we are depleting, or we are somehow reducing the quality of sea water also. So this is my answer for what is deterioration of land and sea. It's all because of the human activities, nothing else. There are certain activities that we do, and now if you have heard about it, I don't know whether you have heard about it or not, but there are countries like USA, Russia, Germany. They test nuclear weapons under the sea. They are testing. So that is also deteriorating the sea. Any question for the second one? Anything that you have not understood? I think I have answered question number 2. What is deterioration of land and sea?
Sir, may I add a little bit?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so it's important for children also that, wait, I'm turning the camera. Children, one more important thing, that whatever water we use in our home, like in kitchen or in bathrooms, so what the water is wastewater. So that wastewater goes into the drainage, and that drainage water again enters into the rivers, because there is no space to drain that water somewhere else. Like in example in Udaipur, that the drainage water is actually drained into river Ahar. It goes to Uday Sagar. So now the Uday Sagar water is highly polluted. It is not good for consumption. And likewise, the examples are River Ganga and River Yamuna. These are also polluted. So that's why Ganga Action Plan has been initiated by Government of India to purify the water of Ganga. So many industries which were located at the bank of Ganga and Yamuna, so these factories are now banned. So they were using the dye factories, and the leather factories were located near the banks. So this is how also we pollute the water and the land of the earth. So it's better option that whenever the water is used in your home, so best you have to utilize it somewhere in the positive manner. Means we have to waste less water we have to use, and we have to use it wisely. So that is also, sorry, so that is also important. So we have to learn the management of water also. Thank you, sir.
Any student who has any other question regarding this, please ask. You can switch on your mic and you can ask. Let's move on to question number 3 then. The question number 3 is, what is the importance of fast decarbonization of our energy supply and how we can do it? Now, decarbonization means not carbonization. Carbonization means adding carbon, carbon to atmosphere, carbon to nature, carbon to environment. We call it as carbon footprints, actually. Now here you are talking about decarbonization, and that too a fast one. We generally call it as a rapid decarbonization, and it is happening because of electrification of we do have we are now every car is coming as e-cars these days. You can see, you can find out from YouTube, you can find out from internet. Every organization, may it be Mahindra, may it be Tata, or may it be any giant uh, automobile company, they are producing e-cars. Even buses will be working on this electricity. So the first one is starting uh, from Gujarat to Maharashtra. They will be launching very soon. Right. First project is of 200 kilometers, which will be established by 2025. They are working on the Switzerland way of handling this bus system. They will be having a separate highway, which will be having wires, as you can see in trains. Similarly, you can see a kind of mesh kind of wiring on the highways, which will be used by the buses. Buses will also have that kind of the same kind of stand which you can see on an electric train engine. Same kind of thing will be there, and the buses will also be running the high speed onto the highways using electricity. So that is coming up very soon. By 2025, we can see all those things. So what will happen if that takes place? The demand of electric power will increase, and when the demand of electric power increases, you have to produce that much of electricity. So there are processes which are being used wherein we stop the usage of fossil fuels, that is coal, for production of electricity. Instead, the mountains which are arid means deserted one, where we don't find trees and all those things, they are being covered by solar cells, and these energy, whatever is being produced, will then be used for the purpose of having electricity throughout the highways and all those things. So what will happen doing this? Will reduce the use of fossil fuels such as petrol, diesel, coal, and all those things. So the carbonization will not take place. When we burn these fossil fuel, then the carbon is emitted, right, in the form of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So it will stop the production of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, and hence decarbonization. It is fast decarbonization because it is coming with a greater speed. Right now, even the cycles are battery driven cycle, scooters. It's already there. Now cars are also coming. So you'll find even Kia has launched car yesterday, which will run around 485 kilometers at one charge. So there are many companies which are coming up. Even Lexus have done that in India. So you'll find cars over here in India which runs on electricity. So it will go for decarbonization. Anything else you'd like to ask on this? Anyone? This is about what is the importance of fast decarbonization of our energy supply and how we can do it. Let's go to the next question. Gugu, 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 জল দাও। Sorry. How does deforestation affect the rising of sea level and human life? Uh, Deforestation, obviously, deforestation means not having forest. So when we cut down trees, that is deforestation. What will happen with deforestation? The temperature of earth increases. When the temperature of earth increases, obviously the glaciers which are there onto the north and the south pole will melt. When they'll melt, the sea level will increase. When the sea level increases, the settlements which are there in the low-lying areas will get submerged by the rise of seawater. So human life will obviously get affected. For your knowledge, every year the sea level is increasing by 5 inch. You can see your scale and you can understand what is 5 inch. Sea level is increasing by 5 inch, and that throughout our planet Earth. It's not at one place. It is everywhere. So now you can understand what happens when the temperature of Earth increases. I'm done with question number 4. Anyone who wants to ask anything on this can ask now. Anyone who wants to add something on this can add.
So one more point we can speak in this.
Please.
The water, actually what happens whenever there is rainfall in the forest, and that when trees are there, the water goes inside the land and it fills, or we can say it refills the aquifers which is present inside. But if forest will not be present there, then it will not be recharging the aquifers, and directly it will be going to the oceans and increasing the sea level. So this is also a way of increasing the sea level. With that, glaciers are melting.
You are using a word called aquifers, which students might not be knowing. Your biology student might be knowing about this. Aquifers is nothing but groundwater.
So actually, this is there in the, I think so, 7th class. Aquifer question is there in the 7th
They,
class water lesson.
they don't practice, so they have forgotten.
That's why I use the word aquifers.
Yes, yes. So aquifers is nothing but groundwater level, right? So groundwater can be replenished only when you have trees, right? Trees make the soil conducive for uh, ground for rainwater to reach to the ground level, and that's how we can replenish. So if we don't have trees, all the waters will flow from land to the sea. It will be all wasted. In Udaipur, thanks to all Maharajas who have uh, added value to the city by having a water channel throughout the city, so we don't have water shortage actually. But it is actually a boon for all of us that it's a rainwater harvesting system which was built over here, which helps us to have water during all odd times, and that's the only source of water to our city. So let's move on to the next question: how religious and spiritual movement have been supporting the climate movement? We believe on to all our dharma gurus or spiritual gurus. May it be Sadhguru, may it be Ravi Shankar ji, may it be anyone whom we follow. And every person who is enlightened, they have only one thing, that this planet should be good for living to everyone. So that's how they keep on adding value to whatever they speak. In their lectures or in their counseling to all the bhakts, what we call, or the disciples in English, they keep on repeating one thing, that we all need to practice certain things in our life which makes our life beautiful. And it actually happens when we follow their words and when we follow their instruction, and if we continue doing so, we do get happiness. So that's how a faith building takes place. So when these religious gurus, they keep on speaking about how we should behave with our climate, how we should behave with our environment, how we should do things which will add value to our atmosphere, then we follow them. When we follow them, we get the results. So that is how religious and spiritual movements have been supporting the climate movements. It's all because of their initiative. For to do anything, we need to take initiatives. So they have taken initiative in this regard, and they are doing their part. It's we who are not doing it because of our either selfishness, or maybe we are, what we say, we don't want to do it, to be very frank. So this is my answer for question number 5. For question number 6. If there is anything who want, if anyone wants to add anything to question number 5, they can add. The question was how religious and spiritual movements have been supporting the climate movements.
Yes, sir. I just want to add one more thing, that whatever religious rituals we follow or the festivals we follow, like Shitla Saptami, or even we worship Khejdi also. Khejdi people name Tulsi, or one more movement was in Jodhpur, like Chipko movement, for that Vishnoi community sacrifice themselves to protect the Khejdi from cutting. So we know that vegetations are also very important to control the global warming. So even the more many communities are dedicated towards worshipping them. So worship doesn't mean that there is a god somewhere lies in the tree, but we have from our ancient ages we know the importance of the trees. That which trees are more beneficial for the humankind or animal kind. So for that we made them as the images of the god, and now we are practicing that the cutting of these trees is actually illegal. So that is also one more practice which we follow, and that background is actually scientific, but we have added it to the religious practices. So we should know about that. Importance of vegetation is also much like equally important like human beings important. And in the same way, we have worshipped the animals also, like cows and horses, also worshipped in many communities. So the reason is that they are biological and environmental friendly. So that's why we worship, and we don't want to kill them, or we are worshipping. Still, we are worshipping them. So it is also we should know about it.
Sure.
Children should know about it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next question is, how is slow deterioration noticed? Slow deterioration can be noticed after collecting data. We call it as data sampling. When as a person from environmental science, or if I study geology, there are two things. One is either you go with environmental science and then you go for research, or you become a geologist, then you go for a research. There are other fields also where you can go for a research. When you go for research, what will happen is, uh, okay, I'll come on to the question. There are certain things which have been asked over here. Sorry. So when we go for research, we generally find out, or we generally collect the data, we process it to make information out of it, and after making information, we understand how the things are actually happening. So it's a work of geologists, it's a work of environmental science people who has to work on this, who needs to work on this and collect the data about the temperature change, about the climatic changes, about the Earth's gravitational field, to the motion of core, everything. So when these things are being studied, and if there are any kind of deviation which is observed from the previous year, we understand that Earth is undergoing certain changes. Changes can be good or changes can be bad. Now, if those changes that are happening in or on Earth is leading to maybe or the animals or the people who are living on the earth may get endangered because of whatever changes taking place, then we call it as a deterioration. And this can be noticed only by study of certain aspects year by year. Now here the question is, how is slow deterioration noticed? It is noticed only when we collect the data and we process it. Then we understand whether it is moving in a correct direction or deterioration taking place. On Earth, it is always a slow deterioration because Earth is massive. So the changes that takes place on Earth, it takes time for Earth too, because there's a system on Earth that it can heal itself. Earth can heal itself. Once we damage it, we'll all get extinct one day, and Earth will heal itself. That is for sure. So that will take place one day. But now it is all about slow deterioration. Yes, slow deterioration is going on, and it can be noticed only while doing a particular study or research. Anyone who wants to add on to this? The question was, how is slow deterioration noticed? Anyone who,
So we can also see that the slow deterioration can be noticed by the changes in the climate that are happening. Anytime it is raining, anytime it's too much hot, and other climatic changes that are being noticed. So if we these are the basic things that we as human beings and normal students can observe to understand that the climate is changing and it is deteriorating.
yes, very well said. Ma'am, there are one more thing. Every student can notice this. What is the temperature this year and what would be the temperature next year? The average change of temperature will show them that the temperature is rising every year. So that is one thing which you can see. Other than that, if you watch or if you listen to all the news, if you listen to the news, you'll find that there are so many changes that are happening in the environment, which is not noticed earlier. Like there was snowfall in Israel. It happened. Israel is not a place where there'll be a snowfall, but it happened. There are cloud bursts which happen. It's happening. Now it's a regular issue because of cloud bursts that the dam got broken and then there was so much of damage which took place. So all these things are happening. There are means the previous year we think we had one, two, three hurricanes in one year, which was very it was devastating altogether, and we lost so much of life and so much of money into that. It happened. So that's how the things can be noticed. Let's move on to the next question: how rise in population affects the climate? The number of people, when population rises, what will happen? I breathe in oxygen and I breathe out carbon dioxide. So number of people will increase, so that much of carbon dioxide will increase. When number of amount of carbon dioxide increases, obviously the heat of Earth also will increase. So if the temperature rises, so what will happen? It affects the climate. It's simple. Can climate change again lead to ice age? That was the first question. Question number 8. If yes, then when would it take place? How much time will it take? It will take around uh, maybe 200 to 300 years from now if we continue doing it the way we are doing it. The way we are deteriorating the land and the sea, if we continue to do it with the same pace, I think around 300 years would be the time when we'll be having almost 70% of our species which might have got extinct. And we are not in a position to move out and have a normal life. We might be staying underground, as you have checked the video the previous time. We might have to stay underground. We might have to understand that whenever we are moving out, we have to move out in a special chamber. Moving out is not an easy task because you must have lost all the water on Earth. It might have gone into the atmosphere because of the heat. So once we all get extinct, right, we all die, Earth will take its own time, maybe millions of years, to again go back to the ice age if the situation remains same. Because Earth's atmosphere is like this that water vapor cannot go beyond Earth. atmosphere. That is one thing. So it will stay in the atmosphere, but it will take time to again form cloud, come back to Earth in the form of rain, and again the things, the healing process takes place. It takes almost a million of years. So, as you know that it was, there were dinosaurs. From dinosaurs, they got vanished, and then we all came in after so many years. So that many years it can take. So how much time will it take? So this much time it will take for sure. Anyone who wants to add on to this? Question was: can climate change lead to ice age? If yes, then when would it take place, and how much time will it take? Now, should we
Uh,
move on to the next? Yeah, please.
sir, I have my own question. I do not want to add, but I have my one question there.
Huh,
We are talking about ICES.
ice age.
Yes, will it
Huh,
be possible to come that at that stage? Is it possible?
it is possible. It is
Okay.
possible. It is possible, but it takes millions of years for Earth to heal. The damage that we do, it takes millions of years to get healed,
So
but it will heal.
it is kind of cycle it is following the
Huh,
earth.
but the problem is, the kind of activities that we are doing.
Yes.
We are trying so many different things. Uh, there are movies which are being produced, and if you look onto the movies, you will find that there is so much of scientific work which has been done. There's a movie called Core, Core,
Okay.
again based on physics. So what will happen when the core of Earth stops moving? So when it stops moving, the core is molten. Core of Earth is in its molten state, and it keeps on moving. Because it is moving, it has electromagnetic, or you have magnetic field around Earth. When it stops moving, what will happen? This magnetic field will get vanished. When this magnetic field will get vanished, all the birds, those who have that is flying, will not be in a position to find out direction. You
Okay.
can you will find sparrow here in Udaipur. You will not find sparrows in cities. If
Yes.
you go to cities, you will not find sparrows over there, because most of them have lost their homes because of this uh, towers, mobile towers.
Yes, sir.
Because of mobile towers, they release electromagnetic radiations, and because of that, they lose their path. When they lose their path, they cannot reach back to their home, and because of grief, they generally die. They generally die. So most of them have died, right?
Yes, sir.
Meena ma'am is saying it is almost 37 degrees in plus 37 degrees in Finland on summertime. Imagine how north we are, obviously. So I request, if you have the movie called Core, you can see it once. What is it like? You'll understand what will happen when the core of Earth stops moving, and how they have started the core all over again. That is again a story. So that is what the movie is all about. Anyone who wants to add on to this? Should we move on to the next question?
Yes, sir.
The next question is: how do carbon emission affects the nature, and how can we control that? Obviously, there are many ways to control it. First is decarbonization, which has already we had a word on that, and decarbonization is not having carbon footprints. So we are going for more of electric vehicles, which will help us to reduce the carbon emissions in the nature. Stop using plastics. That is one thing we should have. We say so many things that we should stop using plastics, but we don't follow it. Still, the plastics are available and it is being used. Unless and until it is banned and they give an alternative to plastic, it will not be possible. Second thing, anything which is alternate to plastic is not as cheaper as that of plastic. So when we go to the shop and when we ask for, भैया मुझे एक किलो चावल दे दो. Once that particular person had given rice onto a paper bag and handed over to you. भैया मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है, कोई प्लास्टिक का थैली दो ना डालने के लिए, स्कूटर में आया ना, उसको लेके जाना है. So this is what we generally say, and when we say this, we are actually promoting plastics when we are going to the shop, which I think we need to stop. When they say that आपको plastic चाहिए, no, I don't need it. I am having a bag. I can put it into my bag. So that is how we can reduce it, right? All the companies who are manufacturing this or who are producing chips, potato wafers, and all those things, they can also go for it. And even other people who are going for packaging, they can also go for this, but they need to find out a alternative to plastic, so which will help us to reduce the carbon emission. And if we are not using any fossil fuel, carbon emission will definitely come down. That was my answer. Question number 10 is it right to use animals for medical research or to cosmetics? I feel that it is right at some point of time. At some point of time, it is not, because somewhere we exploit the animals also. I think we should not be exploiting the animals. As human being, we know that what is the strength of a particular animal. For example, when we make vaccine, right, it is actually the virus or the bacteria is actually being injected into a horse, because the immunity of horse is considered to be the highest. So, and then the immunoglobulins or whatever you say, uh, that is being extracted. I think Divya ma'am can speak on this better. Divya ma'am, you
Yes,
are
sir,
there?
it is immunoglobins. You are correct, sir. Immunoglobins means antibodies, which is produced in the body.
I know. If you can take this up, is it right to
So
use animals for medical research or to cosmetics?
actually, according to me, I am not in favor of using the animals, because I have seen several people. They were fighting for this, that they should not use the cosmetics. There are some cosmetics in the market available, which is not tested on animals, and people are saying to use those cosmetics especially. And in my research work, when I was in my MSc, I was told by my teacher to do the research on mice. And when I asked that it's not good to kill the mice, then they told me that these mice are produced basically for the research work only. They are not the normal produce. They are actually hybrids, which is especially made for the research work. They are not the normal animals, that we are taking the animal from any farmhouse or from normal thing. We are actually generating those animals and then we are using it for research. So, but then also as a human, I don't like to use animals. Being a science teacher, then also I'm speaking this. Although people think it is good, why? Because directly they don't want to lose their population. For example, if I'll take my example, I will not love to do testing on my kid. Similarly, you also, if you are a scientist, you will not love to give the life
Actually,
of any
Divya
person.
ma'am, I wish to add something on this.
Yeah, yeah, sir.
Our law never allows us to take advantage of any human being whatsoever. If they give it in writing that I give full authority to this person to experiment on me, right? If something happens to that person, we are binded by the law. We'll get punished if something happens to that person, though he has given it in written. Still, So that's the reason why we are using mice. This mice, which is called Alfonso rats. Now, Alfonso rats are white in color, and they have their basic things, which is almost same as that of human beings. That's the reason Alfonso rats are being used uh, for doing experiments, which leads to a kind of observation and conclusion, which then helps us to take a decision whether we should go ahead with the chance on human beings or not. So that's how it is being used. It is being produced for that particular purpose. For example, for most of my students who are over here, they should also know this how eggs are being formed. Now, I think most of them have seen what is poultry look like. Poultry farm, you'll have too many number of hen into a particular farm. They are being artificially inseminated, and finally, what happens when they are ready to hatch eggs? Suddenly, they close the doors and make the place dark. When they make the place dark, all the hens they start laying eggs because of fear. So this is how the eggs are formed. It is not formed because hens actually want them to be out of their body. It is actually they are being induced in this way to lay eggs, and these eggs cannot be hatched into a hen or into a cock in a later stage. It cannot be hatched, and they'll find the things. So what happens? The place where these hens are being kept, the lower part is actually an inclined plane. You know what is an inclined plane? All grade 6, no, grade 7, 8, grade 8. It's a kind of inclined plane. So these eggs, they then go by the inclined plane, and then they get collected onto a tray, and people then they collect it from there. So that is how these eggs are formed. So nothing, but this is how the things are actually there. When they go into in depth, they'll understand all these things.
So, one more thing I want to add in this.
Yes, please.
Actually, nowadays in biotechnology, if the students know that we are collecting the few cells of humans, and then we are testing the cosmetics, that what is the effect on human being. So you are not actually killing the human being, and with the permission few cells are taken of the human being, then you grow it on the artificial media or in the laboratory, and then we are testing the cosmetics. So that cosmetics give the exact result what will come on the human being, instead of testing it first on the animal and then you are going for the human trial.
That's how biochemistry field
Yeah.
came in.
Tissue culture,
Biochemistry,
sir. Especially
that
tissue culture.
that is for MSc level. First, they
Yes,
need
sir.
to go for biochemistry at the graduation level, and then tissue culture in the MSc level, possible.
Yes.
So let's go on to the next question. We are taking too much time. It's already 6:54. I think we can wind it up by 7:15. How do climate change affect fossil fuel industry? Obviously, climate change is happening because of burning of fossil fuel. So if we will not have fossil fuel, and if we all have electricity throughout in cars, cycles, bikes, whatever we use is on electricity, so we can reduce the carbon emission. When we can reduce the carbon emission, the production of fossil fuel will get reduced. Production of fossil fuel takes place in Iraq, Iran, Israel. These are the places where you get most of the petroleum products from. Saudi. So their business will get reduced. So they'll not have anything. They are earning because of this fossil fuel on. And if their business gets reduced, they'll move to some other venture. So that is the thing. So this is how climate change will affect the fossil fuel. Obviously, climate change happening, that's the reason we have to reduce fossil fuel usage. So once the fossil fuel usage reduces, the economy of certain countries will go down. That's for sure. The next question is how climate change is affecting our planet. Obviously, it is affecting our planet. There are different flora and fauna, that is plants and animals, which are getting endangered. There's a book called Red Data book. Uh, IU IUCN, right? I think Divya ma'am might be knowing about it. It is IUCN who has released this Red Data book of endangered species.
Sir, every type of species, not only endangered.
Every type of species, but we do have endangered species listed into that, and it is all happening because of the climate change. When the species will die or they'll get endangered, what will happen? It will affect the food chain or food web in all. When the food chain gets affected, the life will get vanished. For example, you know what is food chain. Now, plants are eaten by the grasshopper. Grasshopper is eaten by the frog. Frog is eaten by the snake, and snake is eaten by the peacock. So, if plants are not there, what will grasshopper be feeding on? Say, suppose if the grasshopper dies, what will frog be eating? If the frog dies, what will snake be eating? And if the snake dies, what will peacock be eating? So once a particular organism dies, the total food chain will get disturbed. So which will affect the food web in a larger scale. Obviously, it will affect our life also. So this is how the total planet will get affected because of the climate change. Anyone who wants to add on to this? I think I have given the answer. Number 13 question is the video in which David Roberts explained about climate change. How old is that video? Look, this particular thing started from 2005 when people started talking about climate change, and they started discussing at the UNESCO level or at the UN Global Summit level. And finally, there was nothing done for very long years. Uh, just a second. I'll take on all your questions later, which you are putting into chat. I'll check everything. I'll take it later. Let me complete this first. So possibly the video that is being shown is between 2005 to 2010. That is what I can say. After that, in 2017, 2016 at the end and 2017, people have started talking about sustainable development. There were summits which have been done. In the month of November 2019, it was done in India on a larger scale in Delhi, which I failed to attend because I was with you. I came from Delhi. If I would have been in Delhi, I would have been attending that. Uh, that I missed. But it was conducted in the month of November in 2019. Sorry, September 2019. My mistake. September 2019. The dates and all the invitation is still lying into my cabin. You can check it any point of time. So now coming to how deforestation affects human life. Obviously, deforestation means not having or cutting down trees. Cutting down trees means less of oxygen production. Less of oxygen production means less of oxygen in the atmosphere. Less of oxygen in the atmosphere means difficulty in breathing, because we need oxygen to live. So if we don't have oxygen with us, we need to go for oxygen cylinders. And you know that oxygen cylinder is in scarce quantity these days in Udaipur. What will you do? Everything is being used for corona patients, and even they are not getting oxygen cylinders. Where will you get your oxygen cylinder from? So how deforestation affects human life? Now you know. Be careful. Don't go for deforestation. Go for afforestation. Try to plant as many trees possible. Dangerous. The effects will be dangerous. You cannot think, you cannot imagine what will happen. It is so devastating. What is the fundamental change of our economy? Fundamental change of our economy. So everything will get changed. Now, for example, if I'm talking about direction of use of fossil fuel, what will happen? Our ties with the other countries who are producing petroleum or petroleum products will not be there because we don't need them. We need them now because we need petrol. So the relation will get affected. When the relation gets affected, the economy that is actually being used, or the money that is actually being used to procure that particular thing from there, obviously that will not be required. So the money will not be spent on that. So it will be there with our country. Our country should be self-sustainable. That means we should have everything over there. Till date, we had been giving lithium to all the countries because we were not having that technology to use lithium. So we had been distributing lithium. बेचते रहे आज तक. So now when we know that lithium is being used for making batteries, so we understood that how important it was for us. So now we are not selling lithium to anyone. We have lithium with us. We are using it for manufacturing batteries out of it, lithium-ion batteries, which gives us a better storage of electricity while traveling from one location to another location. So our economy will obviously boost, right? If the climate change continues, obviously we switch over from the non-renewable resources to renewable resources. So obviously we expect that our economy will boost in that case. The next question is, how is noise pollution a threat to environment? You know that noise pollution causes health problems to people, mostly the elderly people, and even wildlife. Unfortunately, you might have seen videos wherein we burst crackers and dogs keeps on barking for that particular reason. That why we are bursting crackers. They keep on howling and they keep on doing the things. The amount of gases that comes out also disturbs. So noise pollution actually causes health problems for people and wildlife, both on land and even in the sea. Even the traffic noise, rock concerts which are having loud noise, even the marriage where people are having dance on the roads with a woofer in place and all these things, they lead to hearing loss, stress, high blood pressure, and all these things. So environment is anything which is around us. It is not, we cannot say it is only living, it is biotic, abiotic both. That means which is having life and which is not having life. But it affects those who are having life. It affects the plants also. That is also there. Coming to next question, what is salination?
Sir, I
Yes,
want to add in this.
yes,
So
please.
noise pollution is also responsible for interfering in the breeding of the organisms. So in this way, so many species are becoming extinct because of this noise pollution, because they are unable to interbreed because of this noise pollution.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Next one is, what is salination? Salination is, in other words, we call it as soil salinity, or it is the salting of earth. That means the soil which is there on earth, it gets saline. It's all because of human activity, and even the natural causes cases are also there. It often occurs in land that has been used for agriculture purpose, or when the land has been cleared of native habitat. that is the plants or the animals who are living on that particular land, if we take them off from there, automatically the salt level of the land keeps on increasing, and that leads to salination or increasing salt level of the soil. Ma'am, if you wish to add on to this,
Sir, if you can repeat the question again.
what is salination?
So salination, in this, what happens whenever rock is making soil, I think so Sunita ma'am will also add on this, but whenever rock is making the soil, at that time whatever salt is present, it is present due to that also. Sometimes whenever the water is there, sometimes the salt level is very high. For example, in Rajasthan we can give an example of Sambar Lake, which is having more amount of salt. The studies are actually not done very well on that, but as a biotechnologist I can say that we have done studies in which we have found several microorganisms which are inhabiting the saline soil, and what is the use of that, still we are working on that. We are taking the genes from that organisms and we are using it into the plant so that we can grow the normal plant into that area, because in the saline portion we cannot grow the normal plants which we can grow normally. It's not easy to grow the plants in the saline situation. We need a special thing in the plant for the management of the salinity, and that can only be coming from the microorganisms which are inhabiting there. Here comes the gene technology, where we take out the gene from the microorganisms who are living in the saline region, and then we are entering into the plant, which is called as plant tissue culture. Again we are doing it, and then we are growing the plants. So this is only what I can speak about this salinity.
Yeah, and even tube well water from the tube well, when it is used regularly, like in Punjab and Haryana, because these states are known for best agriculture centers in India. So here also this problem occurs of salinization, because it is occurring because of regular use of the tube well water, one, and second is using the fertilizers and pesticides. So these are also adding the acids and salt to the land. So this is also one reason of over irrigation is also one of the problem. Water logging is also one of the problem for salinization. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next question is what is mass extinction? Mass extinction happens only when the big number of animals or plants they get extinct. First, they get endangered because of the wrong activity or the activities of human being, and finally they get extinct slowly. So when almost 30% plants or animals they get extinct altogether, we call it as mass extinction. What is species exploitation? Species exploitation, I think we have already covered that there are animals or there are plants whom we are exploiting in different ways to just ensure that we, or to make sure that we live well. That's how we are exploiting.
So one
Yes, ma'am.
example I want to add in this, if you have time.
Yes.
Sir, it has now been stopped, but I want to add in this. Generally, the patients who were having this insulin problem, what happened was the pigs were slaughtered and their liver was extracted, and from the liver, the insulin was extracted, and then it was sold in the market. But later on, after the discovery of cell cultures and all that, tissue culture, we started making insulin with the help of this tissue culture, and then we are making it, and now we can see pigs. Earlier, in the mid of the time, I am unable to see the pigs on the nearby my area, and earlier I used to see a good number of pigs. So there is little bit change, because actually those people were getting money out of it when they slaughter the pig and then they give the liver to those people to extract the insulin. They were getting a good handsome amount of money. That's why they were killing the pigs, and the number of organisms were going down. So this can be example of this, which is told species exploitation. So in this we have exploited the pigs for insulin.
Thank you, ma'am. If you can take the next question also, what is aquifer depletion?
Aquifer.
So
Aquifer
the main,
depletion.
yeah, the
Oh,
main
yes,
main
sir.
reason is over irrigation, and especially this is happening in Punjab and Haryana, because in the regions where river water is not available, people are using tube wells for the irrigation. So at one end we are using the river water for irrigation, but other areas where there is a shortage of river water, so people are dependent upon only on tube wells for irrigation. So somehow it is like we are entering the underground water. So it is leading to deforestation also, because trees are taking the water. They are using water from the roots, and they are taking that water from the aquifers only. So that's why nowadays we are recording deforestation more as compared earlier, because of more tube wells. Even you can observe in Udaipur, in each and every home. Obviously, I have noticed that we have tube well because our water is not controlled. It is not controlled. We don't have that management of using the particular water. So we are overusing it. We are washing the cars and by using the pipe and everything. And even we are using the showers in the washroom. So that one advertisement was also made, that in Jaisalmer, people were saying that one person when the person takes bath in urban area from the shower, that whole village takes the water of that. So it is also happening that our lavish life is also one of the reason of reducing the aquifers. So we have to control, we have to manage the water which is available, because बूंद बूंद से गड़ा भरता है तो गड़ा हमने खाली
So
करना है.
I think with this, there's a second question. Next question, what is looming water?
So
Looming.
looming water is the extinction or the shortage of the water, because water is used in the industrial industries also, and more water is used in other areas like domestic life also. In our domestic life also, we cannot imagine ourselves without water. We are using water in the kitchen, we are overusing it, and the more water is drained, that water is actually deteriorate, and it is drained into the river. So somehow we cannot use that river water because it is actually polluted. So it needs again phases for the treatment. So which is not possible somehow in with the countries with a low economy. So somehow it is affecting that water looming crisis is a problem of water shortage. Like one example in desert areas of Rajasthan. So that's why water harvesting or the roof water harvesting is also one of the methods we have adopted. So Brahman, Paliwal Brahman also, they use one technique like Johar, and they use the technique of restoring the river water, because water is not available there. So rain is only there for 1.5 months. So that's
Okay.
why they store that water for that
In
whole
in
year.
in 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 Bari school also, in the study we do have rainwater harvesting, right? And we do have place where we store this rainwater and we use it again. So we are doing it in our school. The next question is, what is world economy? Sunita ma'am, you can take it up.
Yeah, sir, I will start because one more question was related to the same, that what is the fundamental economy? Because if we start the traces of the history from Harappa culture, Harappa civilization, or Mesopotamia, we have observed from the traces that basically economy was dependent upon the animal and agriculture, because both ran side by side. When people started learning the agriculture, they settled at one place. Before that time, they were nomadic people. So when we started learning the agriculture, we started breeding the animals also, and somehow we started learning the domestication of animals. But that did not support the more economy, because from 18th century industrialization started, and in industries we used all that raw material which was available from motherland. So that was used in the industrial sector, and somehow that goods were produced, and we started using that goods in our homes. If you observe your room around yourself, or if you observe your study table, please look at once that nothing is made by your hand. It is, these all things are industrial manufactured. So somehow we are overusing the resources, because if population will increase, the demand of the industrial goods will increase. And if demand of the industrial goods will increase, it will have more pressure on the natural resources. So that's why we say that even Malthus theory said that if we have to control, we want to control the population, because if we have not controlled the population, it will ultimately affect the agriculture sector, because food is not available that much. So that also we have to balance. Then again, when people started using that industrial products, and they started working in the industry, they got more money, because in agriculture sector we get money after 6 months or 5 months when we harvest our the crops. So here we are getting money every month. So that money, if we are means collecting more money, we want to use that money somewhere. So tertiary sector came into origin, and then we started the services like education, medical facilities, and all the space activities and satellites. We launched the satellites and rockets and everything because we got money. So we started using that money somewhere in developing ourselves, to develop the human nature. We have started developing ourselves. So somehow we are not balancing with the nature. So that's why this is also one of the reason that why corona has come to earth. Because from if you have observed from last 4 5 or 10 years, 1992, the first earth summit held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So that time it was stated by more than 100 countries heads that we have to control on the global warming, but we did not listen. We did not listen, and even it affects our nature. So now nature is controlling everybody. We did not control the pollution, that's why nature is controlling the pollution. So we have to understand that if we will not control ourselves, the nature will control us. So we have to learn somewhere that everything is good. The earth is equally important. This is also a home for human beings. It is also home for animals. It is also home for plants and even microorganisms. But we have made earth as our own home. It is our own home. It is of no one's home. So that's why we have to understand that earth is for everyone. It is not for human beings. Not only for human beings. So we have to understand. We expect from you all children that if you have participated in WCS school, so we expect more from you, that you will spread the awareness in the society that why earth is important for everyone. It is not only our home, it is a home for everyone. So we have to promote all these things. So tertiary sector is also leading to somewhere for the problem. So that's why we are moving to the excavation, or some exploring something new. We have gone to even the Himalaya regions, and even last time also accident happened in the Himalaya, that many people died. So that is also biological waste, when the people were died there. So there was no one to take out that bodies from the ice and all. So all wastage, the waste materials are kept there in the Himalayas, then the most beautiful place of the earth. So this is how we are doing. So it is harming earth only, and somehow we are harming ourselves. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Divya ma'am, if you can take it up, what is biodiversity?
So biodiversity in simple language, students, I can explain you this. Suppose you are living in a particular area. For example, we take the example of Udaipur. So whatever species are found of animals or plants in Udaipur and microorganisms, that is the biodiversity, or the type of organisms which is living in a particular area, we can see. Simple, this is in a simple words. Various types of organisms living in a particular area, that is called as biodiversity. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
What is sublimation and what is desublimation? You can use the example of camphor.
Sublimation, Basant sir can explain very well because he's a
Ha.
chemistry teacher. Then also I am explaining. Basant sir, if you want to take this question.
Yes, ma'am. Surely I
what
will take this question.
what is sublimation and what is desublimation? Both.
Okay. Basically, sublimation is a process in which any solid is directly being converted to gases instead of going into liquid state. For example, we usually use that kapoor dani in our home, and many of we are using that. So basically, what we do in that, we put the camphor on that, and after that, the fragrance of camphor is in our home, And usually when I was in my village, there used to be one trend that we used to put that naphthalene balls in all the corners of where the food was used to store, that the grains was used to store. So the purpose was that the naphthalene balls directly converts into the vapors or the gases of that specified solid. And in that case, what is happening, that will be in the whole room, and no insects will be coming there. So that is sublimation exactly meaning. So so
What
if
is desublimation?
for that I will have to check, sir. For that desublimation I
No,
will have to check.
then I'll take it up.
Yes, please, sir.
Desublimation is it is actually the reverse of sublimation. It from gas directly into solid, right? Gas changes directly into solid state without entering into the liquid state. Now, this happens when we have you have say suppose you have clouds, right? And automatically when the cloud uh, the water in the cloud which is there, it is in the form of water vapor initially. This water vapor, when it comes to the earth in the form of snow, it never changes in water directly. It comes in the form of snow from the water vapor. Similarly, if you look onto, if you take the example of chimneys, when we have the gases that comes out of the chimneys, it's a black colored smoke that comes out. What happens when the smoke comes out? You'll have deposition onto the wall of the chimneys. Similarly, you might be using diya at home, right? Near a small, if you have temple or if you have a small puja place where you worship your god, you put a diya over there. When you light the diya, and if you put a plate over there, you'll find that whatever comes out in the form of gases, that gets deposited onto the plate, and this is black in color. What is that? We generally use it in the as kajal, right, to put it into our eyes. So this is how the things are. So once gas directly turns into solid, that is called desublimation. There's another question, the last one. What is ecological sealing? Any idea with anyone? What is ecological sealing? Anyone who is having any idea on ecological sealing? No. Right. Let me start then. This is called the donut or donut economics on a higher level. Now, ecological sealing is a kind of phenomena where we work between a shortfall and overshoot. Now, what is the shortfall? Shortfall is in the form of water shortage, food shortage, health degradation, education degradation, income, peace, politics, social behavior, gender, housing, networks, energy. Between this and climate change, ozone layer depletion, air pollution, biodiversity loss, land conservation, freshwater withdrawals, chemical pollution, ocean acidification. Between these two, there is a minimum level where the human life can sustain. That is called ecological sealing. This is in the shape of donut. I can share this picture with you right away onto the group. You can check it out. And this is ceiling, means it is the highest level, right? Where humans or humanity can sustain. Beyond this, it cannot. So I'll share the picture with you. You see the picture. It's on a higher level. I think we should not go at this moment to that higher level because it's on research grounds. And understanding this thing will be a bit difficult, but you'll understand the thing when you look onto the photograph. I'll share it with you right away and you can check it out. And anything other than this, anyone who is having any other question, please share. I think most of them have uh, how humans can able to live on Moon and Mars in coming years. They cannot live on Moon or Mars. That is for sure. Mars is not having the atmosphere that we are having. Not everyone can afford to go to Mars. I don't think you have 200 crore rupees to go to Mars. Who is having 200 crore over here? Sabiraj? Samya? Shabamya? Shipamya? Who's having 200 crore? We'll all go to Mars. We need good amount of money. It is not that easy to go to Mars and stay over there and lead our life. It's not only staying over there, the atmosphere is not conducive for living. So we need to have different gases which we need to manufacture over there so that we live.
We can't live
But
on Mars. That's
no,
why
we cannot
running
live
this.
on Mars. We cannot we cannot live on Mars. We cannot live on Moon even. That's for sure. Though people are selling land on Moon. But sir, you are saying that if we change our petrol engine of our vehicles to electric engine, it will reduce the carbon emission. But sir, I think the most of the electricity is produced. Yes, the technology is to change. People are not allowing us to change the technology. We all know that it is only the fossil fuel which helps increasing the global temperature or the greenhouse effect. We all know that. Even our politicians know that. They want to make money. So that's the reason they are not switching from fossil fuel to electricity. And electricity can be produced by many renewable sources such as solar power, hydroelectricity. You have wind power. There are many ways of generating electricity. It can be stored onto a fuel cell, which can then be used. There was a time when we have thought of using hydrogen as one of the fuel. Hydrogen combining with oxygen gives immense amount of energy, but it is we need a control well in different conditions. Then that's why we are not using hydrogen as a fuel in our. Am I audible, Basant sir?
So you are audible, but it is breaking only at the end of the session
That's why
for some time.
I was asking. It was unstable. It was showing.
Now it is stable, sir.
Good, thank you. So as I was saying that it's with the help of batteries we can save the electricity and we can run our engines. And this was not happening. Now it has to happen. There is no way out if we want to save our environment.
Sir,
Uh,
I think Sabiraj is asking something. Sabiraj?
yes, sir. Sir, my question was, we are living in a century where more and more inventions are taking place day by day. So,
Who said so? Who said so? More and more inventions are taking place. Sabiraj,
uh,
what do you want to be in life? What do you
uh,
want to be in life?
sir,
Anything that you wish to be.
businessman.
Businessmen don't experiment. They don't discover anything. Generally, what people want to be, a doctor, an engineer, or what? क्या बनना चाहते हैं?
Yes, sir. People want to be someone where they can be
Any
financial.
any anyone who is doing grade 12 Okay, from any school of India, what do they want to be? They want to be either engineer or doctor or IAS officer, or wish to be in army, or wish to be in maybe in anything, in bank, in railways, right? In school, but no one wants to pursue pure science as a subject in their higher studies. So if people stop pursuing pure science in their higher studies, what will happen? Research will stop. So discoveries will stop. That's for sure. Because people are not going for this. So if discoveries will stop, what will happen?
Inventions will stop.
Yes, inventions will stop. There will not be any job. It'll not be having jobs in the market. What will you sell? If you have nothing to sell, if you want to be a businessman, what will you sell? If everyone is having scooter at home, right, and they are not putting anything into the scooter, maybe wings into the scooter, or maybe a fan into the scooter, maybe AC into the scooter. Ah, if you're not experimenting and if you're not providing something new, no one will purchase. Everyone will understand that yes, this also runs with 80 kilometer per hour. This also runs with 80 kilometer per hour. This gives lesser average, that gives more average. So fine. One which gives lesser average, obviously it will give more power. That's for sure.
But
So
sir,
it is,
like inventions, like there are many inventions. Like plastic is one of the inventions, which is the one of the most harmful inventions ever had. So, in time, like in future also, we can have some inventions which will be not better for us, or the human beings or animals, or
we can have, we can have. That is possible only when students take this up. If they don't, they won't. Nothing can be done. This is the last generation of our era who is doing something on research. Last, this is the last era. By 2100, there'll not be anyone who will be going for research, for sure. He'll not be having any research after that, because students don't want to go for it. They want to enjoy their life in office. They don't
but
want to go for it.
but sir, but sir, there are 10 to 5% people who are still interested in researches and science and
Pray to God.
all these.
Pray to God. If it increases, it is good for us. Pray to God. We are also praying that at least some student of ours who have understood the concept well goes for research and makes everyone's life beautiful. Anything else? Sir, I think we should end the session. Yes, we should end the
Yes,
session.
yes, yes.
It's
So
already time. It's 7:30.
yes, yes. So
One
in
and a
the
half
last,
hours.
I would like you all to please turn on your camera so that at least you can say bye to us. So to all the team, everyone, please. So we can do that practice. We can do that last practice. Everyone, every teacher and every student. Yes, that is cool now.
Thank you.
I can have one screenshot of that and I will be uploading that. Najia ma'am, Moy Joshi, Dipti, Skina, Bhavya. Yes. Okay. Okay, everyone. Good, 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 good. Samak. Okay. 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 Bye bye, everyone. One go. In one go, we have to. Yes. Good.
Right.
Okay. Now I am ending the session from my
Thank you.
end. And
Bye, sir.
you all know
Thank
that
you,
we
sir.
will be
Bye.
meeting
Thank you, sir.
on Friday.
Bye, sir.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Take care.
Sir,
Bye,
thank
sir.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye, sir.